Firstly, my music video, when I first started my research, it was going to be based mainly on The Weeknd and the sort of stuff that he wanted to incorporate into his videos. So when I started my research, it was based a lot on that. And in terms of how I wanted my video to be, it was going to be in a narrative form, sort of story, a video, sorry, that told a story. And the video that I've ended up with is completely different to the video that I had originally researched and done my audience research on for various different reasons. However, in terms of sticking to the forms and conventions, I would mostly say that I did stick to some of the conventions. For example, most videos these days are about projecting the artist and making sure the artist is the main person in the video, in which in my produced video, as you can see from the main aspect of my video, was always making sure that the artist was involved. Even I was doing my research, I found out that a lot of The Weeknd's videos are quite, they have like really dark color schemes to them, in which I tried to shoot my video in a really dark studio and then add more effects onto it after. And one of the reasons why I think I did stick to one of the conventions, especially to do with location, because following research, the actual video for Live For that I'd done was shot in a warehouse, so it was shot in one location and then choose different parts of the warehouse. But for someone who didn't know, it would just look like it was shot in a studio. My video was shot in a studio and has the same lighting effects as the original Live For video. I found sort of like I discovered new artists or started to like more artists a lot more than I did before, which then actually led to an influence on a music video. So a key example of this would be that I discovered an artist called Uzi, who's an American slash Japanese singer-songwriter, and he has all his videos in VHS, so they're really simple videos. Shortly, you will see a video of Scene Girl, and then a video of my video and how they incorporate. He has the VHS effect, and I've tried to add the sort of like a 3D slash a glitch screen effect. Another artist that I also grew in love for was Skepta. He had a video that came out called That's Not Me, and the video background, he, just like Uzi, also had a VHS effect. My forms and conventions changed from the original research text that I had from The Weeknd to what it is now. And I also think that in terms of forms and conventions, I would say that in terms of like facial expressions, I felt that I managed to portray my artist's facial expressions quite well. As the genre is mostly about sex and about drugs and stuff like that, it was only right that I kept that within the video. So I kept those forms and conventions within the video. So you'll see that in my video, although it's quite a basic video, I managed to project visuals into the studio where the artist is still in the video. However, there is a lot of nakedness behind him, there's a lot of girls behind him, because I feel like that's something that I can't completely ignore out of the genre, because that's part of the genre. Sessions that I've used and that I've stuck to, it is going to affect my target audience that I originally had set out, because the majority of them did want a narrative video, and the video that I've then produced is not a narrative video. But I do feel that because now that there's a lot more than just a one target audience, like once a video's been put on the internet, you do not know exactly who's going to receive that video. So therefore, it now allows for a bigger audience, because not only am I just going to touch out to my own audience that I planned out to do, due to sticking to some of the forms and conventions that I did, but it now also means that incorporating these other forms and conventions from other music artists and their videos, it now means that it's going to reach a wider audience. The website is something, I think I stuck to the forms and conventions a lot more on my website than I've done on my music video. So for example, on the Weeknd's website, sorry, his primary content at the time that I researched, he basically had his latest music video pop up from YouTube. So he had like almost like an app linked into his own page where the music video popped up, and you didn't have a choice to close it. You just have to watch the video until it was finished. I looked at One Direction's website, and they had their secondary content almost like as a sidebar to the primary content. So what I decided to do was, instead of having it as a sidebar, to have my secondary content below the video. One side I do have the latest clothing range coming out soon from the artist, and then one side I have his latest album. So that's the secondary content off the website. In terms of making sure that the artist's name is out there, I think I followed that convention quite well. I know on Bruno Mars's website, he had almost like a grey colour scheme with red, and the Bruno Mars, the logo is in red. I know the One Direction, they had theirs on a black and white effect, but the name was quite clear, and The Weeknd, his name was on the top. And what I've done in mine is that I have managed to put Party Next Weekend on the top, straight down in the middle, in quite a big font and quite a big writing, so that the artist name is always there. Then is that at the bottom of my website, I've incorporated social media such as Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and I've put those there so that the audience have more than just one way of following the artist. So they could click on the Facebook icon, that's going to take them to their Facebook page, where it's going to be more frequently updated than what the website's going to be. Even social media incorporated into the website was something that was a convention that I had to stick to, because without that, then it would mean less engagement for the audience, and then you're most likely going to lose audience members, because then the website, that they don't feel engaged with the artist on the website because they only have one way of following them. And because the internet is now so diverse, everyone prefers different things. So some people might have Instagram, and then some people might have Twitter, but some people might not like to use Twitter and just prefer to use Instagram, etc. And then some people might like to use Facebook instead of Twitter. So it depends on the person. So giving the person a choice makes it more better, makes them more engaged into the website, because then you're not just thinking about the artist, you're thinking about them as well. I also have loads of different pages on my website. One of my favourite pages on the website was actually the tour page, in which I have the artist's face, and then it's almost like incorporated into a concept behind it. And this is something that I thought was really cool, because I feel like as I was sticking to the black and white scheme, my tour page could not just have tour dates on it. And then I looked at The Weeknd's tour page, and that was of him singing to an audience, and I thought that was something really cool. And because I'm still trying to stick to the conventions and following the audience, the same audience that he does, but then still trying to incorporate my new findings into the website, I feel like that just that one page I could afford to have it almost like break the colour scheme, if you want to say. I have a store page as well with the Just Another Lost Child wear, which I feel was a lot easier actually. That was actually a good thing to put on, because then the audience doesn't have to go onto the actual Just Another Lost Child website, so they don't have to open two different tabs in order to buy from the website. So if you're already on the website and you like it, you don't have to go through the effort of being redirected to another tab. You can just buy it from that tab. So I think that's something that was quite good to incorporate. Digipack, I feel like that I follow the forms and conventions of that fairly to how the Digipack should be. I mean, in terms of structure, I've certainly followed the same structure in the having it fold out almost, so you've got content on either side of the fold outs, and then obviously your CD in the middle. How I wanted to have my Digipack changed, just like my website and just like my music video. And the reason why I think that changed is that I decided to actually incorporate a theme on my Digipack. As my artist was called Party Next Weekend, I felt that I had to sort of remove the forms and conventions of my previous research Digipack. So therefore, this Digipack that I had, I really wanted it to stick to a party theme. and how I done that was obviously by the front cover. Um, as you'll see, it's almost like a really funky writing, but I've had the artist's face incorporated into the writing, but I made it really blurry. And the reason why I've done that is I feel like at a party most of the times, I mean, after the party or during the party, a lot of it is just blurs. Like your mind and how you see things is just blurred out because obviously you're either too drunk or you're high on some sort of drug. So I felt like that can incorporate into a party within a deeper meaning than just being a blurred image. My content in the rest of the digipack, I had very colourful writing, and this was due to the fact that following research that I actually conducted when I looked at some actual digipacks that we had, I was very into the 90s digipack, and they were quite colourful, and I felt like obviously being a party, I didn't want it to be like really dark, really blur, because that just felt like that would add depression or like some sort of bad mood onto the digipack. So therefore I felt like if it was bright and colourful, it would still carry on that theme of being a party, and you know the colours that were involved were quite happy. The conventions that I nearly did not follow is out of the digipacks that I researched, a lot of them seem to have the track list at the back of the album. Halfway through my production, before I sort of changed my mindset on how I wanted it to be, I had my tour dates on the back of the album, in which after more research, that's something I found to be quite odd, and then I didn't really feel comfortable putting it in because like when I pick up a CD, then I look at the front cover and then I look at the back to see what songs are on. So I think failure to have those songs in the back, like, it sort of decreases the engagement from the audience, because then there is a higher chance that someone's just going to pick up the CD, look at the back and see tour dates, and then they're just going to be like, well, no, and then they're not going to buy the digipack, they're just going to put the digipack back. In terms of Andrew Goodwin's theory, I didn't really follow it, and one of the reasons why I didn't follow it was that having found new music and new artists, like I said before, that didn't really follow the theory, I was quite influenced by them to actually challenge the theory and not follow it. And one of the reasons being, like I said before, is that everything is now more very internet based, and no one really cares about whether or not a certain theory is followed. For example, Beyonce has a video for her video for 7-Eleven song is literally just her fooling around in her like hotel room, but yeah, it's such a popular video, which shows that no one really cares, like, oh, your video, your text in your video has to relate to this, or the music, the sound has to relate to this, etc., etc. Like, I just felt like we're past that time now, so therefore there was no need for me to follow the theory. Instead, it was something to do, just a video that I enjoyed making and that I think my audience will enjoy watching, and it's something that's just really, really cool and that I can put out on the internet and it would receive greater view, because in the day it's going to go out on the internet and the people on the internet are going to see it, not someone from MTV who's like a music video analyst, if that's the right word. In terms of my following the genre and the forms and conventions of the genre, I think I would have done that quite well. My artists were both dressed in dark clothing, which is, I feel like, something that is quite relatable in terms of that. Most of the people that do the genre, their videos tend to be in very non-branded dark clothing, so I feel like I follow that well. Projection of the girls in the video, I feel like that's also another thing that I followed well for the genre. Like I previously said before, that's something that I couldn't ignore, and that's something, a part of the genre that I couldn't ignore. Props wise, I tried not to add too many props, for example, not to add too many drugs, too many alcohol, so therefore I only had Reckless Motions is the stage name, always in a bottle of Jack Daniels, and that was one of the props that I used. But apart from that, I tried to minimise the use of props so that the focus would be more on the artist and the song rather than the props and what's going on around them, in which I feel that would have then helped to represent them, because then it means I didn't want to represent them in a bad way, because I know most of the times if a music, like, people just go, oh, like, all people do is sing about sex, sing about drugs, sing about this, money and stuff like that. I didn't want my artist to be that, so I didn't want them flashing money around.